Okay, this is my second time trying to make this. I'm really trying to find a good way to explain this without, like, constantly losing my train of thought like usual, but I think maybe I'm just gonna, like, say the point first, and then anything I feel like I need to explain, I'll explain after. Because that, like, make things better. This is gonna be about quote-unquote ancestor worship. And I think I already talked about in another video how it ties into, like, the universal/beast religion. But I'm also going to talk about how it ties into the whole evolution theory. And this is kind of because of some things that I've heard people say to me recently. So, like, since being on the West Coast, I went to this one job interview, which I've been trying to find a job. But funny enough, every time, like, I actually get to the interview phase, they want to, I can't say that word, but I'm going to call it, YouTube looks for that word now. I'm trying to figure out what to call it. I'm just gonna call it with celestial causes so I can. This is the one thing that I can, like, really remember, and it's the first thing that comes to mind. So the harm in the arm. It's like when I get to the interview phase, they want me to bring a harm in the arm card. Yeah, I don't know. Somebody knocked and then ran or something, but they want me to bring. I think I already said that actually. So yeah. Anyway, I was in the interview, and the job is like, it's about protecting the fish and stuff like that. So the dude was like, we're really serious about protecting our oceans because millions and millions of years ago life started in our oceans. And I was just thinking, that's some marine kingdom demon theology right there. Trying to find the page. And then I was talking to somebody else, and they started telling me about how they believe in evolution and how life started with the fish and all that. And the reason that they started telling me this in the first place was because basically they started off a conversation with me, I don't even know why really, about how there's the usual subconscious racist left side of left, right, mind, herd, and white savior liberal. And so then they started going on this rant about some black lady that they met. Honestly, she did have some, like, weird thoughts going on. Especially with some stuff. I can't even really tell what group she was in, because, like, the white girl or whatever, she was telling me about how the black lady was telling her that the group that she was in was considered a hate group, if I can even say that, and even post this on YouTube. But it's like, the only thing I could think of really was BHI, which of course I'm not for any groups or organizations. The ethnicity is true, but I'm not into all that group together cult polygamy stuff. I'm not in any of that. But it's like, with the stuff this lady was saying, it couldn't have been BHI because she was on some Dan Calloway doctrine. Like the slave trade didn't happen, and I don't even know where the 8 moons, 7 suns thing came from. I don't know. But that's the thing though. And this girl wanted to say stuff about this black lady, quote unquote. But the thing is, pretty much, like, most of the people around here are really into that type of thing, because that's what the universal/beast religion is. People where they take all these different philosophies and doctrines from all these different groups, and then they have this weird lumped together religion where you don't even know what they really believe or what's really going on. definitely sounded like she was in a lot of stuff. She couldn't have been in BHI. I know specifically Bishop Nathaniel would have never co-signed any of the stuff that she was saying, but I can't think of what group she could be in when she's in the Dane Calloway slave trade never happened bullcrap. So anyway, though, that was just a really long, funny story. But the girl was telling me that this lady has said that all people came from black people and that white people, quote unquote, Asians and Indians, well, I mean, I'm not even going to go on the Asian Indian thing, but all people came from black people. So that's what this girl was telling me. And then I was like, I mean, but that's true though, because to be truthfully honest, if you're trying to act like people did come from, well, okay, if you're trying to act like people didn't come from quote unquote black people, as they say these days in America at least, then you're saying that either everybody's not human or maybe somebody popped up somewhere out of the blue, which there are groups that like believe that they were made by the fallen angels and they don't have human DNA and that scientists have actually tested their DNA and their DNA comes from somewhere else. Which is still kind of weird to me though, because I mean at the end of the day for them to look human, they obviously have to have some human DNA. But yeah, there are groups that like believe that they just popped up places and that they are just native to a certain area because they didn't like start off with coming from like Adam and Eve and then starting off in Africa and then spreading out. So I mean there's that, but I mean of course somebody like this girl wouldn't even believe in that anyway. Most likely, but it's weird though, because it's like you wouldn't believe in that, but you believe everybody came from fish. But yeah, so I was like, it's true though, because like the quote unquote black woman, or as they say today anyway, has a mitochondria / Eve gene, which of course somebody who wants to try to act like Adam and Eve didn't exist isn't going to want to believe in the whole Eve gene thing anyway, even though it's actually a scientific fact, the whole mitochondria thing, because melanated women, certain ones anyway, they can have babies of any color. So I said all that, and then she was like, no, because the truth is, life started in the ocean. We started off as a bacteria that turned into an algae, turned into a fish. And that's all she said, though. And that's the thing. I noticed that, like, here, people just say the whole life started in the ocean thing. But I haven't really heard too many people mention, I have heard some people, not too many people mention the monkey thing, but I thought that all this, the monkey thing and the ocean thing, was all one theory put together. I thought it was like, you were a fish, well, you were a bacteria, then you were, actually, no, didn't it start with the Big Bang or something like that? So there was a massive explosion, then a bacteria formed, then you were algae, then you were a fish, then you were a shark or something. Then you're a reptile. That goes back to the reptilian hybrids, which are also made by the fallen angels. I just thought about that. I actually haven't thought about that before, but it makes sense that they want people to think that they came from reptiles. But anyway, there's that. Then somewhere down the line, you became a monkey. Then, even in the evolution theory, they say this became a quote-unquote black person. Well, the Neanderthal part is somewhere in there. I forgot about that part. I think that comes later on. No. I can't even really remember. But anyway, then somewhere down the line after the monkey, you become a quote-unquote black person, which then became an Asian person, which then became a quote-unquote white person. And in the original theory of evolution, like I already have a video about, the original theory says that once people became quote-unquote white, that was a missing link that was finally formed that became the first human, and then everybody else is the quote-unquote monkey, which is why when you ask them, well, why are monkeys still evolving, the reason they don't answer is because you are the monkey. And that's what all that is. So I don't even understand how you can believe in the bullcrap evolution theory but still claim that people didn't come from quote-unquote black people, because that's a part of the evolution theory. Because they were the, well, we are. supposedly the monkey, or at least some off branch of the monkey anyway. And then there's also the fact that not even everybody has Neanderthal DNA, but they don't even want to talk about that. There's also the Rh negative situation. But yeah, so that's why it came back to my mind to even make this video, because I had some people recently mention the evolution quote unquote theory to me. And I remembered that I was supposed to have been made this. I'm also going to link a video in the description that had brought this back to mind also, well, at least some parts of this video, which I found on 7/30/24, which wasn't that yesterday? Oh my gosh. So, ancestor worship. I'm reading it now, by the way, because the first thing was just me going in the backstory. Goes back to fallen angels / Anunnaki and their GMOs and hybrids, which the demons are the disembodied GMOs and hybrids, so like the ones that died during the flood or at other periods in time, telling people they are their creator and ancestors. So that's what this really goes back to. So like the Marine Kingdom demons, those hybrids, they would come to people and tell them that they were their ancestors and even creators. Well, at least ancestors. I mean, that probably happened too, but I know the fallen angel / Anunnaki, they specifically were coming to people saying that they were their creator. So that's what happened there. And that's what people are talking about really when they say ancestor worship. Sometimes people are talking about familiar spirits and like their dead relatives and all that. But I mean, there's that, but commonly people are really talking about these ancient demons and stuff. And the familiar spirit thing, that's kind of a side thing. Okay, so here I wrote, just like the stuff Rashad Jamal talks about, which I mentioned him in the Beast Religion video, because a lot of stuff that he says definitely is Beast Religion doctrine. He obviously was at one point, or either still was, a Freemason, which of course is under the pagan Roman Catholic Church. And I know people are going to say, but that started in Egypt, not the one that was hijacked by the Europeans, or people had to get in just to have a life while being dark-skinned. That's not the same thing. Honestly, I feel like, and I probably said this before in another video, why even become a Freemason? If anything, I'd rather see somebody become a Hotep, and of course I don't agree with any of that, but I'd rather see somebody become a Hotep than become a Freemason Luciferian under the pagan Roman Catholic Church. And of course, that's also where the KKK branches off of, which is why lawyers are commonly Freemasons and in the KKK, and also into thelemic child abuse. But anywho, that's another side thing. I really just like the info dump. Just like the stuff Rashad Jamal talks about, because he talks about how supposedly Lucifer was one of us being quote unquote black people. And people really sit there and listen to this stuff. So he says Lucifer was one of us. The Smurfs are black people. The Smurfs are demons. In fact, there's a video I'm gonna link where a dude tells his hell testimony. He mentions the whole Smurf thing. I kind of forgot about that. But I mean, of course, they would be demon hybrids just like gnomes, which he also mentioned. And I'm surprised because people never mention the fact that gnomes, fairies, gargoyles, gremlins, elves, people never mention the fact that those are all demon hybrids. Not rarely, you never hear people mention that. Never the gnomes. People talk about Marine Kingdom demons sometimes. There's also the people that are stuck in the false belief that demons are fallen angels, which, I don't know, but that's just about as bad as the people that believe that when you die you become an angel. There's also that deep confusion. So, Smurfs, etc. Yet he tells people not to believe in Yeshua because Yeshua is white. And you know anybody that's saying some bullcrap like that on the internet is definitely in some Freemason bull crap, listen to some white supremacist dude at the top. Like the real white supremacist, probably some serpent seed dude specifically. Because what person in their right mind that's really for quote unquote black people or melanated people is gonna tell some lie like that? How in the world is Lucifer one of us, but then God is white? That's like, honestly, he would make a good usual pastor for churchianity to be honest, saying some bull crap like that. That's like the Freemason sellout pastors. So I really don't even really see the difference between him and them. And of course, though, people like Rashad Jamal will get locked up, though, because anything that could possibly unite melanated people, especially quote-unquote black people, and bring them together is a threat to the serpent seed higher-ups. So that's why he's in jail. Of course, obviously. It doesn't matter what you're saying. I could literally sit here and tell black people, whatever you want to call them, call us anyway. I could tell the Mexicans, Indians, other Bantus, all of that, I'm trying to think of something crazy. That Satan was one of us, and that he's gonna come back and make us some city, and then everybody's gonna be like worshiping us, something like that. I could run around telling people that, and I could be saying that on the internet, and I'll end up in prison because it's something that could possibly unite melanated people. It doesn't have to be true. It just has to have the possibility of uniting melanated people, which is a threat. And of course, there's definitely spirits that were speaking through him, just like all these people that are in this weird mix of Egyptology and a whole bunch of other stuff. You can tell that, like, all the people that are in that, they have this certain spirit where they, like, you can't, like, tell them they're wrong either. Just like the people in the right side of left right mind herding that think that they're in the truth, but they're really not, and they're listening to a whole bunch of COINTELPRO puppets that pretend that they're telling them the truth. Just like how you can't tell people in the right side of left right mind herding that they're wrong and that they're being deceived. These people are just like that. And then it's like they start manifesting. And the thing is, commonly they've never even read any books themselves on any of this stuff. They're just listening to people talking on the internet. That's all they're doing. They've never actually, like, really read any of this for themselves. And of course, I mean, a lot of it is true, but there's definitely some falsehood in it. Because, I mean, the smurf demon things, they're real. The different beings that would actually be hybrids and fallen angels that Rashad Jamal talks about, and other people talk about, they're real, but these people are being used, whether they know it or not. A lot of them know it. Honestly, I really just think that Rashad just got really demonized, but they're being used to push people into the one world religion doctrine. And so anyway, where was I? I info dump so much and then I get so lost with where I'm at. Okay, I think I finished that thought, but I feel like I'm forgetting something. This also ties into the quote-unquote white supremacist or occultic philosophy of atheism, only because the serpent seed people rooted occultic principles into the anti-human spirit of white supremacy, which of course is just to lead Caucasians and others to death and hell. Specifically, the evolution theory. And high priest in Satanism, or the occult, they say that anybody who preaches the evolution theory, whether they know it or not, they're initiated, at least in the spirit realm, into the status of Satanist high priest. So teachers, they don't know it, but if they've pushed the evolution theory or taught it, quote unquote, they're Satanist high priest. And that's what Satanists say themselves. And, wait a minute. Okay, hold up. Okay, I kind of like got a little confused, so I gotta start over a little bit. Wait a minute. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to like start the whole sentence over because I got really, really lost. This also ties into the white supremacist or occultic philosophy of atheism. And specifically the evolution theory, which says a few different things. One being that life started millions of years ago in the ocean. This is a delusion from the marine kingdom that people came out of the ocean and from fish. This kind of reminds me of this one part in one of the books of Adam and Eve, because the one that I bought myself didn't mention any of that, but there was this audiobook video on YouTube that said this, but I didn't see this in mine. Okay, dang, hold up, there's a lot going on outside. There was a lot of background noise. So, there still is, but I don't know if it's hearable now, but I feel like it might still be. Wait a minute. Okay, I remember now. So, in this specific book of Adam and Eve, there was this one part where Satan had disguised himself as a female mermaid, and he was standing in the water with some Marine Kingdom demons, and he was trying to like talk Adam into having sex with him and a whole bunch of other stuff, which of course it's not surprising because Satan has the feminine frequency anyway. So that happened, and then Adam said no and all that, and they went back to their world, quote unquote, through the ocean. So Satan and the Marine Kingdom demons, which also, actually I mentioned this in that the end times will be like Futurama video. How like the Aztec maps say that the way to the other worlds is through the ocean. So yeah, this makes me think of too. And also the fact that a lot of people say Marine Kingdom demons were like already here even before people were put here, because the fallen angels were already doing a lot of mixing and stuff. So yeah, a lot of these beings were already here. And I guess that could like go into the quote unquote millions of years thing, but some people say that the earth isn't even really that old. Which, I mean, that's possible. I mean, of course, most stuff that you're told and that's forced in your head isn't true, so. The same deities that told, I don't even know if I can say this name, but I'm gonna say Adolf, the dude from the cost, I'll call it that situation that he was in, the cost. The same deities that told Adolf he was an Aryan, which already show those types of deities or hybrid creatures in the How to Know If You're in the Beast Religion video. They're also called Nordic Pleiadians. Aryans, they're what I would call sulfur-based melanin hybrids, so what we, at least in America, would call quote-unquote white. They're like white, but with blonde hair or brown hair. They look like, did Superman have blonde hair? I don't even know if he had blonde hair. But something like Superman, or like the Caesar Borgia depiction of Jesus Christ. Quote-unquote Jesus Christ. Some of them anyway, because some of the Caesar Borgia depictions he has brown hair, but they look like that. And of course, Adolf believed that they were descendants of the Aryans, which were the master race. And of course, the specific group of Caucasian Europeans that he was doing away with. I mean, of course, he killed quote unquote black and other melanated people too, but they don't talk about that. They try to make it seem like only Caucasian Europeans died, but that's not even true. But anyway, what I believe is that, this is kind of a side note, I believe that the Aryans, since they're obviously going to be a lower race or whatever you want to call it than the serpent seed Europeans, I believe that also has something to do with why Adolf felt the way he did about these groups of people, other than like all the other reasons and like how they get in places and then they get on top of things, which is another reason why I always say they're the real white supremacists at the top who actually run everything. And then some other groups of like Europeans are mad at them because they feel like this group left them behind pretty much. So the lower level white supremacists or lower level Caucasians or whatever feel some type of way about this specific group. And I feel like the Aryan hybrids and the serpent seed had like some beef or something, because of course the serpent seed, they're the bloodline that will literally bring the Antichrist. And yeah, so it just makes sense to me. But of course that's kind of a side note and just something that I think but don't really know if that's true or not. Adolf was also deep into the occult. A lot of people don't know that, but he actually was like into studying UFOs, and they claim that the scientists in Germany had even reverse engineered UFOs and had even like seen some quote unquote aliens and all that. And I'm just not thinking about that, but that actually kind of like goes more into this theory that I made of myself about the beef between Aryans and the serpent seed. But it's still kind of weird though, because I mean, the Europeans running around Northeast Africa and other places claiming to be the people, I mean, they are German and Russian and Ukrainian and Swedish and Scottish and all that. So it's like they're still like some of the same ethnicity, so it doesn't really make that much sense. But I guess because of like the different mixes and all that, I don't know. But yeah, so there was that. Funny enough, a lot of white supremacists try to say that Adolf saying that they were the Aryans is the same as the tribes of Israel saying that they're the tribes of Israel. And that's like two different things, honestly. I feel like no, I'm getting it mixed up. Didn't mean to say that. They say that it's the same as Rashad Jamal's crew saying that quote unquote black people are the Anunnaki. I think that's the comment I seen, the video I seen that comment under, I mean. Which, yeah, that makes more sense. Got it confused for a second, but that was definitely a comment that I seen under a Rashad Jamal video, I think. Or a video about him anyway, but I'm pretty sure, was it? I don't know, I'm getting it real mixed up. I can't even remember if it was a comment about the Anunnaki thing or about the Hebrew thing, but it was just somebody trying to compare some stuff. Now, if it was about the whole black people Anunnaki thing, honestly, that definitely is pretty much the same situation, but can't really remember. So then, as another side note, I wrote, with Adolf's backstory, it's also obvious he was a chosen Manchurian candidate on trauma-based mind control. So, like, if you look into his backstory, he definitely went through some, like, traumatic stuff. And of course, regardless of the intent of the abusers, the whole point of trauma is mind control. The whole point of trauma is to, like, fracture your soul and split it up. And it doesn't mean you have to get full-blown DID. That kind of takes a lot. But you definitely will get further and further away from the person you were created to be and from your true self. And you can actually, like, fall into a false self completely, which is what a lot of people call quote-unquote narcissists. They'll say that they're people living in their false self or something like that. That's more of like a new age term, but honestly, people definitely are living in a false self. because when you go through trauma, you develop all types of different personalities, and of course, it lets in spirits and stuff through the soul fractures or the void/holes. So yeah, he definitely went through some stuff that was pretty much trauma-based mind control. This is really common. And of course, just like it says in the Bible, somebody can be chosen for something good or they can be chosen for something bad. So like it said that the Pharaoh was born for, was this in, I think Exodus. I think it was Exodus. That Pharaoh who was holding the Israelites captive was born for that exact moment, just so God could show his power by setting the Israelites free from the captivity of the Pharaoh. So something like that. There's also other verses that say things like that. Like there's this point where I think that was Paul, maybe Jesus, or maybe both of them said something similar, but it was like some people are created even though God knows they would never repent. So still the clay can't say to the potter, why did you create me this way, and stuff like that. And it's like people are just born for certain reasons, basically. So yeah, I feel like that's definitely what that situation was. It was definitely like some trauma-based mind control. And yeah, so there's that. Doesn't really have much to do with this, but I just thought about that. This is kind of long, so I'm not even going to read the other one, but I may make another video about it.